Like many people, I have a fascination with the GameStop shortage from a few years ago. And that's why I was very interested in seeing Dumb Money, which is a fictionalized version of those events, specifically through the eyes of a few of the investors into GameStop, as well as the hedge fund managers and Robinhood, the CEOs of Robinhood, which was the primary app that people traded through to make their buys of GameStop stock. And I thought it was a worthwhile movie. For me, if you want like a better explanation of those events, there's a documentary on Hulu called GameStop: The Rise of the Players that I think is tremendous, and you get an actual inside look into the mentality and into the actual people, right? So as far as like an actual explanation of all those events, I would say the documentary is much better watch. It's available on Hulu. But as far as the movie is concerned, what I appreciate about it is that it got more granular, right? It got us into the humanity of it all and kind of, the behind the scenes aspects of it, right? And I'm sure a lot of it is some speculation, or dramatized based on the events, right? I mean, all movies based on true events do that. But in particular, I gravitated towards the primary investor, Keith Gill, aka Roaring Kitty, and Paul Dano plays him, and I thought he did a tremendous job. And one of the things that really stuck out was how supportive his wife was. She's played by Shailene Woodley, who I absolutely love. I think she's a very underrated actress, actually. And she just had this unrelenting faith in her husband to make the right decision and knowing what he knew, which is fantastic, right? Like to have that support system, because even as they were quote unquote making money, right? They could have sold at any one time and made millions of dollars, and yet he still believed the stock could go even more. So it was fascinating to watch that aspect of it. And by the way, I'm not trying to spoil anything. Some of it comes through the trailer. Obviously, it's also real life, so we kind of know how the story plays out. But it is interesting. The trailer highlights this. As these investors are making money, these hedge funds are losing billions of dollars. And I thought that was an effective point within the story. Overall, just how, I'm not going to say it's pure luck, because even in the movie they do highlight that the people who invested into GameStop, certainly initially, had done their research. And they thought the stock was undervalued, and so they thought it could only go up, right? But I think as the movie goes on, based off of, as I said, obviously real life, you just kind of see how much it is luck in terms of, if you do just simple enough work, you can start to get into the stock market and make this money, right? So these hedge fund managers, ultimately, it starts to give you this perspective that they're not really smarter or better than anyone else. The only difference is they've had the game rigged in their favor, and as was the case with this was like the first time that the playing field is being leveled against them, and all of a sudden they can't take it, right? And so then they go and change the game. So it's a very fascinating watch. It can be a little bit infuriating because of real life events. Like, it's not going to be a happy ending that you would want necessarily. But it's really well done. Also, it stars Pete Davidson as Paul Dano's brother. I thought he did a great job. I think he's really well cast in the role. America Ferrera plays this struggling nurse. I thought, she really brought a lot to that character. And then on the flip side, you have people like Seth Rogen, who plays a hedge fund investor, and Sebastian Stan, who plays one of the CEOs of Robin Hood. So excellent cast, and I think they play it really, really well. Again, I'm not an expert in terms of being able to analyze, facts versus fiction overall, but having seen the documentary at least, the spirit of all of that is there, and that's why, for me, if anything, this is more of a emotional journey, that they're trying to represent of these various people and kind of what happened, right? And obviously it's going to, I think overall, like for me, maybe you have a different experience, but obviously for me, I was going to sympathize more with the investors, the everyday investors, versus the hedge fund guys. And I think the movie does make it evident, that how just kind of how big the disconnect between them and just everyday regular people is. So I think a worthwhile movie. It's rolling out in theaters little by little, right? It started off small and it's expanding, things like that. So it may not be available quite yet for you, but in time it should be. If nothing else, definitely check it out on demand when it comes there. But I think if you're interested in the subject, I think you will really enjoy it. Overall, it's not stylistically similar to like The Big Short, but if you like movies like that, then I think you can appreciate this. As I said, it's not as inventive as The Big Short, but I don't think it needs to be. I think it does what it needs to do. As of right now, it's rated at 87% on Rotten Tomatoes, about closer to four stars on Letterboxd. So people seem to enjoy it. But as I said, it also can leave, because it's based in that reality and such a harsh reality, it can leave you, not only frustrated but quite upset and triggered by all of it. But I'm someone that doesn't think that just because you're triggered by something that it isn't worth checking out, right? Certainly, I believe that is one of the messages of the movie. I'm not saying it's a rallying cry, but it is to explore, like, hey, this is what actually happened, and in some ways it keeps happening, because even in the movie, they reference the 2008 crash and things like that. So it's just kind of, it's like, in terms of the individual person, we've been through these cycles multiple times, and it is infuriating when it just doesn't get better, right? And I think this movie captures that a little bit. So for all those reasons, I think it is worth watching if that has any appeal to you. But as always, make up your own mind, and if and when you do see it, please comment down below. Would love to hear your thoughts on the movie.